Good morning and welcome to the news. The headlines. State government intensifies awareness campaign against indiscriminate dumping of refuse. Students join in the call for restructuring of the country. INEC restates commitment to tackling challenge of vote buying. And Hurricane Florence kills mother and child in North Carolina, USA. Good morning. My name is Ifi Onachukwu, and now the news in detail. Governor Willie Obiano has officially launched the Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme. Government House correspondent Kenichi Kwofuma was at the ceremony held in Oka to mark the launch and tells us more.
The scheme, which will be driven by the State Health Insurance Agency, aims at giving the Anambra access to quality health care services at affordable costs. A product of years of proper planning and understanding of the health systems of many advanced societies, the scheme has accredited 2 tertiary, 36 public secondary, and 155 faith-based and private health facilities, and will also adopt the 566 primary health centers across all the communities of Anambra State to fully achieve its target. With a monthly payment of just 1,000 naira, enrollees under the scheme will get comprehensive health coverage for preventive, curative, and rehabilitative care, as well as surgical services for a year. Inaugurating the scheme, Governor Obiano said his government developed it in response to the challenge of poor health financing which Anambra have faced over the years. He announced that his government shall pay 10% in counterpart funding for the coverage of all civil servants and their families, and has also paid for policies under the scheme covering 10,000 people across the state, adding that a modality will soon be worked out to ensure its even distribution. The governor called on high net worth Anambra and employers of labor to take full advantage of the initiative by underwriting the cost of health services for their relatives and workforce respectively.
Careful planning. My administration has stepped out to make sure that everyone in Anambra State has a chance to enjoy a quality healthcare service. And when I say everyone, I actually mean everyone that is living in this great state, including the poor, the rich, the young, the old, men, women, etc. The scheme also comes with very special offers for pregnant women and for children under the age of 5.
The Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Usman Yusuf, acknowledged that the scheme is starting on a good footing in the state because Governor Obiano clearly understands the importance of good health and said the advent of the scheme will drastically reduce financial burden on the people.
The formula for distribution of this fund, and this fund is not only the federal government, development partners, Gates Foundation, and the World Bank have put in money, and many more want to put in money. What we are hoping and praying is that this fund outlives all of us.
The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Josephat Akabike, noted that the state scheme was modeled after understudying the different systems of advanced societies, adding that the scheme is affordable.
It has an office complex located in an ambient environment in Oka, just opposite the government house, fully equipped and having adequate human resources for effective implementation of the scheme.
Earlier in a welcome remarks, the Executive Secretary of the State Health Insurance Scheme, Dr. Simeon Onyemechi, who revealed that the scheme is going to run a digital system, said the agency has set up a 24-hour call center for resolution of enrollees and healthcare providers' challenges.
Achieve universal health coverage, including financial risk protection, access to quality essential healthcare services, and access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicines and vaccines for all.
Governor Obiano later proceeded to unveil the scheme, after which he was registered. In Oka, I am Kenichi Kwofuma, reporting for ABS News.
Series of achievements recorded in national and external competitions by students of Anambra State extraction have been attributed to the ongoing transformation in the education sector by the present administration. The State Commissioner for Basic Education, Professor Kate Menoga, made the assertion while declaring open a one-day seminar organized by the State Agency for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education to mark this year's International Literacy Day. Njide Kokoye was there and now reports.
The seminar held at ASUBEB office in Oka was well attended by the personnel of the Basic Education Ministry and the ASUBEB. unit heads of the Mass Literacy Agency in the 21 local government areas of the state, staff of the agency, and other stakeholders. Professor Menoga, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Basic Education, Mr. Nwabeze Nwankwo, noted that education is key to the development of the nation, adding that Governor Willie Obiano has given the sector the needed support to excel that engendered the excellent performance in the sector, and called on adults to embrace mass literacy, adult and non-formal education programs to become literate.
Governor has supported in every aspect of education, both the basic education and tertiary education. He has been very supportive and has made sure, he just, once you show him that this thing is necessary and that he will encourage reading and learning, he gives it to you.
Presenting an address of welcome, the acting executive secretary and director of the agency in the state, Mr. Donatus Nwosu, stated that illiteracy in Anambra before the Governor Willie Obiano administration was about 52%, but was reduced drastically to 21% because of significant measures taken by Governor Obiano with the assistance of Professor Menoga to revive the adult and non-formal education subsector in the state, with a view to giving everybody access to education, irrespective of age and status. He noted that according to UNESCO rating, Anambra is one of the best 3 states in the Federation in the literacy program.
The celebration is done all over the Federation and the persistence of the Federation, including other countries of the world, because it's only through literacy that people can have the light. And the mass literacy is the major instrument of eradicating illiteracy.
The chairman on the occasion, Mr. Ray Ofo, commended the agency for its achievements, noting that education is key to every meaningful venture, while a resource person and professor of economics, UNISEC Oka, Professor Collins Nwogugu, who took them on consistent monitoring and sensitization, dynamic tools for excellent mass literacy, urged the agency to design more strategies in motivating and encouraging people to embrace adult education. Some of the participants, Mrs. Ebele Ike Odili from Oka, Mr. Ikechukwu Onuzulum from Anocha, and Mrs. Patricia Ekwogo from Onitsha, thanked the state government for supporting the agency, noting that no time is too late to acquire education.
It's a day set aside to let people know that it's very good to read and write. A day set aside to make sure that everybody is aware that education is power.
In Oka, Njideka Okoye, ABS News.
Accountancy students of the Federal Polytechnic Oko have joined in the call for restructuring and diversification of the nation's economy for viability. This was the focus of this year's seminar and journal presentation by the Accountancy Department, which has its theme as Standardization of the Accounting Profession, a Paradigm for Restructuring the Nigerian Economy, the Tax Perspective. Correspondent Emmanuel Okonkwo was at the venue of the event and now reports.
The seminar attracted both members and non-members of the department and highlighted ways of building and strengthening a nation's economy, as well as the roles of an accountant in finance management and fighting against financial corruption. Declaring the event open, the acting rector of the institution, Dr. Izuchukwu, represented by the Director of Academic Planning, Mr. Ifeanyi Chukwu Okonkwo, said the theme of the event is apt as it addresses the numerous challenges facing the Nigeria economy. Dr. Onu noted that the department has since its creation in 1981 been contributing to the development of the institution and assured its members of the school management's continuous support.
Today offers another opportunity for academic enlightenment, which will be of immense benefit to the Polytechnic and the nation at large. Accountancy profession possessed the potency to revive the Nigeria's economy, especially at this period. The government is making efforts to revive the economy from depression.
In a keynote presentation on the theme of the event, A guest speaker from Federal Inland Revenue Service, OCA, Prince Ibodo Okereke, emphasized on the urgent need for restructuring of Nigeria's economy, saying that for the nation's economy to be viable, proper attention must be given to the industrial and agricultural sectors. Prince Okereke regretted the poor response of Nigerians to taxation when compared to people in the Western world, noting that the act drastically affects government's revenue status and as well the development of the country, and called for attitudinal change.
Industry and manufacturing, yes, somebody may wonder why are they separated? Here, I want to look at manufacturing as the big multinational corporations that are into manufacturing. The manufacturing sector is very crucial, even as the small-scale industry too, because he said that the foundation, the engine of any economy is the middle-level industries. That is the small and medium-scale industries.
Earlier in a welcome address, the HOD of the department, Mr. Chikwelu Mbono, said the event aimed at exposing the students to society and facts surrounding their course of study.
Today's event, like I said earlier in my address, is a ritual. It's part of the training that we are meant to give to the students, to expose them to the society, and also, it's not only in the classroom that you learn.
On his part, the president, NAPAS, Federal Polytechnic Oko Chapter, Comrade Chukwuemeka Nwosu, described the event as an eye-opener as it revealed to them the challenges they are to face in their profession as accountants, as well as ways to overcome them. In their various remarks, the chairman on the occasion, who is also a senior lecturer in the department, Dr. Joseph Aro, and Sir Izuchukwu Nwabueze, advised the students to prioritize their studies over temporal pleasures, imbibe good character and integrity in order to become great ambassadors of the department and the institution at large. From Federal Polytechnic Oko, I am Emmanuel Okonkwo, reporting for ABS News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has initiated measures to accelerate the distribution of uncollected permanent voters' cards in the state. Speaking after the meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security at the INEC headquarters, OCA, the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Nkwachukwu disclosed that about 130,000 permanent voters' cards are yet to be collected from the office of INEC in the state. Paul Ezoke filed the report.
Dr. Oji explained that the committee has mapped out strategy to support INEC to ensure that in the next couple of weeks, all uncollected permanent voters' cards in the state are given to the owners. According to the resident electoral commissioner, part of the strategy is to mount a massive campaign in the 326 wards in the state to ensure that every eligible owner of the cards receive them. He said the PVCs for those that registered between January and April this year are all ready for collection, and that INEC has set up necessary structures that will enable people collect them easily. Dr. Oji added that the campaign would involve other stakeholders in the electoral process, including security agencies, the media, civil society organizations, and Christian Association of Nigeria, among others. He said INEC has a clear calendar of activities of the political parties and will respond to invitations by the authentic leadership of the parties.
Regarding PVC collection, the committee noted that there is still quite a high number of uncollected PVCs in the state. The number totaling in hundreds of thousands. And the committee has mapped out a strategy to support INEC to ensure that in the next couple of weeks that all cards uncollected in the states are given to the owners, to the eligible owners.
Also speaking, the State Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Mr. Mike Okoli, says security agencies are ready for all the electoral processes.
That even if these elections are to hold in the next 2 months, the security agencies will never be found wanting. We are ready for the election. We are equal to the task.
In Oka, Paul Ezoke, ABS News.
A female broadcaster, Ife Obinabo, has assumed office as Transition Committee Chairman of Orumba North Local Government Council. Kenechukwu Chukwudi, who was there for ABS, brings us the details.
Ajali, headquarters of Orumba North, was host to a large gathering of staff of the council, religious leaders, traditional rulers, security agents, and other stakeholders who came to witness the change of baton from the outgoing Transition Committee Chairman, Mr. Emeka Afoka, to the new one, Mrs. Ife Obinabo. Mr. Afoka urged all and sundry to extend a hand of fellowship to the new chairman to ensure development and progress.
To single out and commend the view of these people, these critical actions and inputs propel me and my team to remain focused to our challenges and responsibilities. I must therefore commend His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Governor William Biano, who without consulting me, nor anyone, exercised the word of courage and faith by appointing you as the local government chairman of Orumba North Government Area.
In her speech, Mrs. Obinabo counted it a privilege and a divine mandate for her to serve the people of Orumba North and promised to do her best to move the area forward. She solicited for the cooperation of all to achieve maximum results for the people of Orumba North, which she said was Governor Willie Obiano's frontline charge to her.
The job of the chairman of the government in Nigeria is an enormous one and requires great commitment, unity, dedication, to mention the field. Each time I remember my people, I always vowed that if given the privilege to serve them, I must touch their lives.
In their goodwill messages, the President Ohaneze Ndigbo, Anambra State, Chief Damian Okeke-Ogene, the head of service of the council, Mr. Chike Obiekwe, and a lecturer, Mr. Anthony Ofodele, thanked the governor for finding the new chairman worthy to serve and called on Mrs. Obinabo to serve the people with dedication. From the Orumba North Council area, it's been Kenechukwu Chukwudi for ABS News.
Parents have been urged to encourage their children to participate actively in community activities for them to take pride in their cultural heritage. Speaking in Oka, the state president of Ohaneze Ndigbo, Chief Damian Okeke-Ogene, expressed satisfaction that the ongoing cultural revival is restoring key Igbo cultural celebrations, including the New Yam Festival, to their pride of place. We have the details.
Chief Okeke noted that New Yam celebration has not only become a global celebration for Ndigbo in all parts of the world, but has equally attracted the support of the church and other stakeholders in the social system. He explained that the New Yam Festivals offers opportunity to showcase diverse cultural heritage of different communities, as well as platform to advance community development through certain competitive targets for individuals and groups, as well as scholarship for pupils and students. Chief Okeke-Ogene observed that the present revolution in the state agricultural sector is yielding the expected dividends as women and youths are now actively involved in agriculture, thereby enhancing the state drive towards food sufficiency, reduction in unemployment, and improved export capacity. He pointed out that restructuring the country will enable every zone and state to directly invest resources in its agricultural belts and empower genuine farmers to achieve the desired result. Also speaking, a community leader, Chief Gabriel Azawusiefe, enjoined families to key into the modern method of farming to boost productivity. Chief Azawusiefe commended the huge investment made by the Governor Obiano's administration in the agricultural sector.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured Nigerians that it will overcome the menace of vote buying, which it described as cancer and menace to the electoral process. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, made the call in Abuja at the Watching the Vote Election Series 2, put together by the Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, with the theme, Ending the Scourge of Vote Buying and Selling in Nigerian Elections. The Chief Press Secretary of INEC, Rotimi Oyakomi, in a statement issued, quoted Yakubu to have said that the challenge of vote buying was not just worrisome to the Commission, but the entire country. While expressing optimism about the Commission's ability to respond appropriately, the INEC boss observed that the Hydra-headed problem requires the involvement of all stakeholders, including security agencies, political parties, civil society organizations, the media, and citizens. The INEC chairman agreed with other speakers at the event who attributed the emergence of vote buying to the improvement in the electoral process, but however outlined some of the steps the Commission had already embarked upon to address the challenge. Yakubu urged the security agencies to apprehend vote buyers and sellers, and cooperate with the Commission to prosecute them. He noted that even though the law empowers INEC to prosecute vote buyers, the Commission lacked the capacity to arrest and investigate offenders. Yakubu assured the people of Osun and other Nigerians that only the people's votes would continue to determine the outcome of elections in the country. 3 African countries have started an alliance that will enhance a push for the creative endeavors of filmmakers on the continent. Tagged the African Film Forum, the countries Nigeria, South Africa, and Namibia were represented by leaderships of film agencies in their respective countries. They include Mr. Dedayo Thomas of National Film and Video Censors Board, NFVCB, Mr. Philip Molefe of National Film and Video Foundation, NFVF, and Marinda Stein of Namibia Film Commission. According to Molefe, who was appointed chairperson of the forum, the idea which brought African countries represented at this year's Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, to neighboring pavilions began as an African hub at the last Durban Film Festival. He said the African hub was conceptualized in Durban, South Africa, during the Durban International Film Festival to enable African countries to present a united and collective African front to be able to tell African stories even more effectively, because a united Africa is stronger than a divided Africa, developed the economies of African countries. A woman and her child died after a tree fell on their house in Wilmington, North Carolina, the first reported fatalities from Hurricane Florence, which made landfall earlier on Friday. Police confirmed the fatalities and said the father of the child was being transported to a local medical center to be treated for his injuries. Authorities later said one person was killed while plugging in a generator, and a man was knocked to the ground while outside and died. A 5th person, a woman, died from an apparent heart attack after emergency services were unable to get to her due to conditions from the storm. The reports came just hours after Florence made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane at Wrightsville Beach, a few miles east of Wilmington, as the center of its eye moved onshore, the National Hurricane Center. NHS had downgraded the hurricane to a tropical storm, but Florence's forward movement had slowed to a crawl, piling on the rain in a siege that could go on all weekend long. And now we have the sports story. The coast is now clear with regards to the 20 September elections into the NFF Executive Committee 2018-2022, following the official release of the list of candidates for the polls by the NFF Electoral Committee on Friday. 4 persons are battling for the presidency, including incumbent Amaji Pinnick. Pinnick, a former chairman of the Delta State Football Association and executive chairman of the Delta State Commission, is the highest placed Nigerian ever in football's boardroom globally. There is also Alhaji Aminu Megari, immediate past president of NFF. Chief Taiwo Gunjabi, a former Nigerian international defender, also has his heart in the ring. Incumbent Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusso will battle club proprietor Dr. Patrick Ifeanyi for the slot of chairman on the board. Similarly, incumbents Babagana Kali and Musa Duhu from the Northeast have to contend with Farouk Yarma Adamu. And that's the news this morning. But remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS 88.5 FM from any part of the world by logging onto our website www.absradiotv.com or like us at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. You can also follow us on Twitter, on Instagram at ABS Radio TV. That's it, and the main points now. State government has intensified awareness campaign against indiscriminate dumping of refuse. Students have joined the call for restructuring of the country. INEC has restated commitment to tackling a challenge of vote buying. From elsewhere, Hurricane Florence has killed mother and child in North Carolina, USA. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ife Onachukwu. Have a blissful Sunday.